So this is for the second workshop, and today I'm going to talk about the studio journal assignment. And it might seem a little bit strange to talk about this so early, but actually it requires you to have a fair bit of preparation so that you can gather all the information that you need for the assignment. Um, as you know, it's not worth a lot of points. It's only worth 10 points. However, the effort that you'll put into that assignment is based on the kind of resources that you use to populate the journal, and also how you convey your experiences of the course in visuals, media files, and some words. Okay, so first of all, we're at the assignment area of the program GD204 program Canvas site. And you can see here, this is the assignments page. You're probably very familiar with this kind of listing at the moment because it lists the courses that are in order of the that you study through the program. And so most of you will have studied these first two courses here. Some of you may be coming in to 2685 from other parts of the university, and because it is a flexi course, so it's open to everybody who's interested. But for those of you studying this graduate diploma, you will have done these two courses first. So here's where you see these assignment listings, and the studio journal is what we're going to look at first. So it's due on the 16th of July. And if I click open the link, you'll see there that there's a recording that I've provided that talks to the studio journal a bit more. So you've got this recording now too. But it's actually, if you look at the, I've opened this so that we can be reminded of what the task involves. So it's to record and collate your experiences of the activities undertaken through the course. And there's a particular emphasis in the studio journal on the experimentation and trials undertaken to explore possible solutions to the wicked problem identified by your industry partner, which I have listed in week 1. So they're the 4 wicked problems. And they are the problems that you work on as a group too. So although this assignment is an individual assignment, it connects to that other group work. So everything kind of ties in to that particular wicked problem that you're working through across the workshops. And you need to use creative ideas and media to give an account of the studio learning, experimentation, reflections, discussions that you've contributed to. So it's your participation in this, this working together on the wicked problem. And you're encouraged to be as innovative as possible in the layouts, imagery, text, and other resources in the construction of your studio journal. So it says here you're able to create a paper-based or digital journal, and that's, we want people to understand that there are options. However, I think given that the time that has passed since the writing of this course and the events following the pandemic, I think most of you will choose a digital journal, to be honest. I'm going to show you some examples of digital journals that I would like you to try and use. If you are using a paper-based journal, that must be scanned and converted to a PDF file. But as we go through, you'll see that it would be very hard for you to do that paper-based working now that you're going to be using video files, sound files, and all that kind of stuff. And so the URL or other link to a digital journal must be provided at the time of submission to the assessment. So what that means is you're going to create your journal on a digital platform, which is, it's kind of sounds like building a website. And it is web-based, but it's not publicly available. These are web-based display and performance platforms, but you are able to avoid the final stage of publishing them in the public domain, you know, so that they get so that they're searchable by the public. And so they will look like a web page, but they are they're private just to you and whoever actually has the URL link. So you will generate this journal on the platforms, and I'm going to show you some examples shortly. And when you're really happy about how to do that, then you will save the journal, and then you will copy and paste the URL that appears in the web page to your submission in Canvas. Okay, so that's what you copy and paste into Canvas. It's going to look a bit odd because you won't have anything visual in there, but the hyperlink, and you need to make sure it works, obviously, but the hyperlink is all we require. Okay, so it must be equivalent to 400 words. So when we say equivalent, that's the kind of time, I always think of a time equivalence. So, you know, how long would it take you to research and write a 400 word piece of assessment work? Not just 400 words, blah, 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 but actually to research, read, do all the tasks in order to write a short 400 word piece of writing. So try and think about how long that would take you and use the time as a guideline, okay? So here's the explanation of the assignment. Now, these are the platforms I want you to use. There are a selection of them. So it's Adobe Spark, Microsoft Sway, or Google Sites. Okay, so they are the ones I would prefer you to use. Here are the kind of detailed explanations of where you'll find those platforms. They are all free. Okay, so you don't need to pay for them. You don't need to pay a subscription or purchase or anything like that, because they're not websites. Okay, so you are able to just create your online portfolio with these free areas. So the thing to remember about Microsoft Sway is it's buried in your online area in RMIT. So it comes with Office 365. Okay. So and here are the instructions. Very easy. And likewise with Google, you'll need to have a Gmail account. Okay. If you use Google Drive, then you've got a Gmail account. And in fact, you'll find it in that little apps. It's always the little square, like the square grid of dots, where you'll find these things. That's the, I mean, you guys are smart. You can figure this out. All right, so and Adobe Spark is a publicly available one as part of the Adobe suite, but it's free. Not a lot of people know about Adobe Spark, but it is a great resource. And you'll need to subscribe, but that's free, and then you can make as many Adobe Sparks as you want. Here are some videos to explain how to use these platforms. They're very useful. Please watch them because they are really, really, really useful. Microsoft Sway there'll be help within Microsoft Sway itself, and they have video tutorials within the platform, so you can actually have a look within the RMIT provisions that we have. Okay, so here's the rubric. You can see the points are evenly split, and you need to actually have a look at what's expected of you. But it's essentially the quality of the media, consistent participation that is proven through your documentation, It needs to have an order of progress, like a clear sequence, and it needs to use innovative layout and design. So it can't, it is a kind of design based. It is a design based assignment. Okay, so and that's important that this is a skill that you learn as an educator, or if you're going to other forms of professional practice. So digital presentations are kind of central to so many areas of professional life. So these are good skills, are really useful skills for you to have. All right, so I have set this type of assignment for a few years now in my undergraduate teaching, and I've been at RMIT for just over a year. And prior to that, I was at a different university. And so the examples I'm going to show you are from the students from that other university. Okay, so these are students who had to do the same kind of task, but over a non-intensive course. So it was 10 weeks, and I taught them performing arts. And so, but the task that they had was the same. So they had to give an account of their participation in the performing arts workshops week by week that I ran, and also kind of show me that they were doing the readings and that they were taking up the ideas that I was doing in the lectures. So a non-intensive, but nevertheless the task was the same. So as I show you these examples, just bear in mind that it's a slightly different course, and it has a different focus, obviously, on the performing arts in early childhood and primary. But as we go through the examples, I think they're useful to show you the kinds of ways in which they dealt with the challenge of making a digital portfolio. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is this is on the Spark platform. Okay, so and the ones I've shown you are all very high scoring assignments. So they've all got HDs or 7 out of 7. And so here's what you can see the little Adobe Spark icon in the corner there. And what you get with this is the embedded animations. So Shawnee, who made this beautiful portfolio, she chose the background image here, and she wrote in the text, but all the design work is done for you, okay? And this really lovely rolling animation, can you see that it slightly rolls? That's all embedded in Spark. And so these guys were given guidelines on how to organize their portfolio. So just bear that in mind as we look through. That's not going to relate to what you're doing in your task. So the content don't pay too much attention to. It's more the ways in which they've laid out and used the media that I want you to have a look at. So they had to organize the work in these particular ways. But you can see here what Shawnee has done is they've all had to source images, and they've had to use the design in kind of really clear ways. You know, lots of white space here, nice text, well organized bits of writing that relate to very specific things. To help with the tasks, this is the thing that Spark can do as well, is you can embed publicly available media. Okay, so this is from YouTube. And it's also what it was is I used this YouTube in some of my weekly online resources. You're seeing that as you go through the Canvas workshop boards each workshop. Similarly, these guys also had lots of media to look at in addition to their lecture materials and so on. And so Shawnee decided to embed some of this work in here. So this was one that all the students saw as a part of their media resources. And then they did this is one of the activities I ran on pitch. I'll see if I can play it. Okay, so what's happening here is in the workshop, performing arts in early childhood and primary goes across dance, drama, music. And so, as a way of teaching the students about pitch in music, I did this activity in our, this is the studio space we met every tutorial. And the students turned on the torch of their phones, and they all had to start with the phone torch in a long line, as kind of horizontal as possible, and they had to listen without preparation. They'd not heard this music before, and they had to move their phone torches up and down as the pitch of the notes went higher or lower, and they had to try and keep their phones in a line as much as possible. So it was an exercise in listening to the music, but also an exercise in being in tune with the rest of the people around them, which is very important in music when you're playing in an orchestra or a band together. And of course, their students really liked this, the impact. So what they're videoing is themselves. What you can see is themselves in the mirror. So because this is a dance studio, it had very long mirrors across the room, and all the lights are off. And the students were moving their phones up and down, but this particular video is Shawnee took by looking at herself in the mirror. So you can see that what she's done is she's embedded that into YouTube, and you've probably done the same for other assignments, but you can use YouTube and set the settings to private, so nobody in YouTube, the public, can't find your video on YouTube. It's just something that you use as a platform. And then if I go back out into the assignment, so Spark, it has these, templates have these drag and drop features where you can embed videos. So here's one that is publicly available. And I ask the students always to give the credits, the image credit, and you'll have to do the same if it's not your own material. And this one is from the students. Now, what this image shows is that this isn't Shawnee's name. So what I gave permission for, and I give you all permission for, is to share your media. Okay, so for you guys, that's the media that you create within your Wicked Problem group. Okay, so you'll be doing things like meeting across a platform, you know, to talk through your ideas, like a video platform, so you can record those. You can record things like you need to video record your video meetings where you can see all your faces and there's bits of conversation recorded. You might go off and do things as a team. You might decide to do some of your activities together. Sorry, not together. You might decide to spend some time on your own preparing little bits of the Wicked Problem individually and then bring them together. So I advise that any photos you get of experiments or things that you make or bits of writing or anything like that, that you actually have a shared folder, like a Google folder or something, where you just put all of your images, your videos, your files, or share the links on YouTube that you've got, and that I give you absolute permission to duplicate those in your studio journal. All right, so use the stuff that is produced by the team, and then you can use what of it you want. And if I see the same video in different assignments, that's not going to mark you down. All right, so the assignment is about you charting your participation and your experience. So that is going to be the same across your group. So can't be more clear about that. So it's fine to duplicate. Okay, so the idea is though that you need to generate lots and lots of resources from the outset, which is why I'm talking to you about this assignment as early as the second workshop. Okay, so this assignment is something that you need to be gathering your images on as soon as possible, putting them in that shared Google folder, and just generating lots and lots and lots, and then you can pick on an individual level what of them you want to actually use. Okay, so little bit of text to explain the activity. Again, then because these students were having to give an account of some of the lectures and things like that. And so you can see here what Shawnee is using is a variety of found images and documents. Now you can embed documents like this. You save them as a JPEG or a PDF, so and then they kind of drop in as if they were an image. Okay, so you can actually do that. Here's another video of a drama activity that the students had to do, and again there's the credit there, which looks like it's Shawnee's. But each of these students, I did see this very same video in some of these other students' portfolios as well. And so that was encouraged and used by the students. So that's really good. You can see there. And again, there's all the different little bits of video here. Shawnee also used little infographics like this, which you need to save as like a JPEG or a PDF, and then you can drop those in. So you don't create this in Spark, you actually create it in Word or something like that, and then you save it as if it is an image and you drop those things in. And so it goes down. So what is nice about this is it's very easy to read. It's a very simple design, and she uses the Spark really, really well. Okay, so that's the first example. I'll show you quickly a second one. Again, all the same. Sorry, I don't know why that's done that. Okay, all of the same instructions. So this is another student of that same group, so I won't bother to explain the reasons behind the portfolio. So now what I'll do is I'll just talk about the design of these and how they are, they gained really high marks. So again, a really lovely image. And I talked to the students about, what makes a good visual impact. And it is something, you can see here, the image doesn't fight with the text. Louise has used white text over a darkish image, which is a very good design choice. The typeface is very nice, it's very clear. And so these things are, that makes a really good impression first off, okay? Then again, with the text here, and she's used, you can scale the images. That's the other thing, is how big you make these things. So Louise chose to make this quite small. It's obviously not readable, but that's okay. She's not really aiming to give me that information. It's just something off the net that she's used as a kind of image. Now, what we didn't have in the one before is this kind of tile arrangement of images. So these are not Louise's own images, but they are things that she's gathered off the net to help illustrate what she's talking about. So just as a reminder, these students had to talk about their opinions on some of the lecture topics, which is why they used images that they hadn't generated themselves. Okay, you don't need to do this kind of stuff because yours is actually not on the lecture topics. You're just giving an account of your preparation of the wicked problem. Okay, so you're not going to need to do this wider research. Yours is yours is very targeted on what you've done in your team in preparation for your final assignments. Okay, so and how you've solved the wicked problem. So just bear in mind, you can do this arrangement though. Okay, so you could perhaps, if you've got like 4 or 5 images of something as it's progressing in its state from start to finish, you could perhaps tile the images and it makes quite a nice layout. Again, found images here, but always credited. And so again, this is something that Louise has done in terms of the tutorials. So again, these are done with, I believe, let's have a look. I think they're YouTube as well. Or maybe not. Okay, so this is a media that they've generated without using YouTube. And so it's possible that you can just embed straight from your media files on your computer. Okay, so there's different ways that you can do that, which is the that's the format it will take. Okay, so the student Louise here has decided to just embed them directly rather than save them first in YouTube. So you can do either of those things. Here again is the popular pitch activity and the listening. So this is what I love about Spark, is this rolling animation. So Louise decided, rather than a video of this, to actually include some photographs. And again, this is she's taken a selfie, but it's obviously what she can see in the mirror. But look at this lovely rolling. So this is what Spark does on your behalf. Okay, so you can explore Spark and make it look really, really, really wonderful in terms of its design. So it's got all these functionalities. Again, so here's one. Here is a public video off YouTube. And then again, an embedded one directly from the from her own media files. Now they all had to put a reference list and a bibliography, and so this is very hard to do directly in Spark. So what you need to do is, if you're going to include your reference list or resources, you actually need to put those in a Word document and then save it as a JPEG or a PDF, and you embed that in here as if it's an image. Okay, so if you want to do different types of it, the thing with Spark is it decides what the layout of the embedded text looks like. So you can choose things like fonts, but you can't really choose the layout. So obviously the specific layouts of a reference list can't be done directly into Spark. So you need to actually do that in Word, save it, and then embed it as if it was an image file. So let's have a look at Sway. So this is Sway. Now Sway has more functionality than the Microsoft Sway. You can see here it's got an animation. The slide itself is moving. It's a little harder to learn, but if you feel like you'd like, it's not impossible. It's quite user-friendly, but it's not as easy as Spark. So Spark, I would say, is as easy as Facebook or Instagram. Like, it's really, it's all there for you and you just populate it. Whereas Sway is it's a bit more like building your own like WordPress site or something like that. But the students did find a way of using it, and they found the tutorials very, very really interesting. So again, it has a scrolling kind of function. and lots of opportunities. Now, what you see here that you don't get in Spark is you see the little animation of the text here, that this little line just appeared. You can embed images. You've got a lot more control of how you lay it out, okay? You can also add bits of text under the images, and so you can put text here and images here. You can decide on the background color. You can see here the animation of the titles and these bands. You can do a lot more in terms of controlling the design. Here's the playing of the so this is the I've forgotten the name of the student here at the moment. Sorry, I'm just going to go back up. Madeline. Okay, so Madeline works in a special school, and this is some of her own teaching that she does while she's training to be a primary teacher. And so she's a teacher's assistant in a special school. And so this is some of the work she's doing. What you see the difference here is that the video doesn't expand. It stays within the layout. So Sway has more functionality than Spark, okay? So, and that's what Madeline liked about this. You can control where the text goes in relation to the imagery. Spark doesn't let you do that. So things like that are much more in control. Again, you can embed things side by side. You can do lots more in terms of the layout here. So these are activities that took place in the tutorials. And again, I saw, this is Maddie here. And so as some of these other students also used this video clip because they also appear in it, right? So, and that was fine. And again, you can see the animation of the actual ways in which the layouts work is really lovely. So you can control all of that as well. And so there's all these again. So there you go. There's the other bit. There's the other video. That we just saw in Shawnee's assignment as well. So again, totally fine. Both students scored very highly in this assignment. They've used a different platform, but they've used the same resources, okay? So I'll just skim through this. This is obviously a bigger assignment. They got more marks for this because there's more writing in this than you need to do. But it's just really useful to show you how they dealt with the layout, and that's Microsoft Sway. Let's have a look at another one. Again, this one scroll. So the thing with, maybe I've got another one. I'll try. I do have a number open, but so the thing with Sway is it scrolls down or it scrolls across. So this one, the student has also, who have we got here? I can't see a name. Okay. The student has decided to scroll it vertically. And what they've done here is the background that they've chosen, they've used little text boxes to help the writing stay really clear, okay? So again, embedded images. This student, I'm not sure who the student is here, they've decided to make the photographs much bigger, and they've skewed them a little bit. They've put them off kilter to make them look a bit more interesting. And they've made the relationship of the image to the text different in each section. Again, they've used images off the net and videos off the net, as well as this is stuff that was taken in class, okay? So they've really done lots and lots of great work. Now this is the one that you can also do as well. This is a sound file. So this is if I do a little bit of let's see if we can start the singing.
Zaina, 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 can't you hear the music playing in the village square? Zaina, 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 can't you hear our friends all playing in the village square? Zaina, 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 can't you see our friends will find us singing with them from every nation? Zaina, Zaina, trying to get us sunshine.
Okay, so this is them singing in rounds to practice for choral work in schools. And so this is a little sound file that you can do. So you could do something like this too. So if you've had a phone conversation, or you're doing something whereby you are maybe making a sound journal, or a little voicemail or something like that, you can embed voice or just sound files if you want. Okay, so or music, if you like. So there's lots and lots of media in here, lots of different ones, and then again here's the reference list. I still can't see a name. Anyway, they've obviously put it somewhere else. Okay, so I've got another one here. Okay, so this is the one from Brooke that scrolls horizontally. So let's just, this one is what you can also do with Sway. So this is the same as the one before, but Brooke has decided to actually use the horizontal swaying, the horizontal movement. Okay, so here again, lots and lots of different options for layouts. She's used a combination of images from the tutorials, found images, obviously a lot more words than you'll write. And there's a little bit of her participating in one of the drama workshops, photos from, and you can see if I pause it, it's got this kind of scrolling animation that is embedded in Sway that you can control. So Sway does things that you are able to control, okay? And I think, so there's the other ones. Now, when I set this assignment, these assignments for these students, we didn't use Google Sites, sorry, Google Sites. And so that is another option for you to actually use, and it's as easy as Spark. I've looked at some of the kind of videos and things like that. So hopefully this will give you an idea of the kind of ways in the reasons why these students did well is they used lots of different resources. They gathered the resources early, and they had lots to choose from. Okay, and they also designed the pages well. If you look at this, excuse me, I can read the text easily. The image is good quality. So there were the students who didn't do so well, they put patterns behind the words. They used a patterned background. The images were tiny, or the information was kind of right in the center of the page, and there was all this white space. They hadn't thought about the relationship to the design. Now, as we go through the workshops, there are guidelines that I have put in the workshop weeks on good quality designs, but you can do that work a little bit ahead of time if you like, and actually kind of have a look at what makes a good website and things like that. So there, obviously you're not building a website, but the principles are the same. So what happens is each of these, each of the portfolios I've shown you have had they have a URL connected to them. And so the URL is what the students copied and pasted into their Canvas submission. Okay, so all I got from each of those students was a URL address. And then when I clicked on it, as I have just done for you guys, I've actually been opening tabs that are open on my desktop. That's where I see their actual work. Okay, so just make sure. A good thing to do before you submit to Canvas is send your URL to a friend and check that they can open your assignment. Okay, so if they can open it from a different computer, then it's saved properly, and you will be able to send me the URL. Okay. So have a read of the instructions depending on the platform that you use, and make sure that you actually finish off the process so that I get to see the proper URL. And read through the criteria. And it's not a difficult assignment. It's your account of being a participant essentially, and the things that you've done. So this is not to be confused with the assignment on how you've solved the wicked problem. This is about your experience of being a member of that team. Okay, so how you've solved the wicked problem is for different assignments that are worth a lot more in percentage. This one is how you went as an individual in the course. Okay, so please keep looking at this lecture and keep looking through the images that I've provided. And again, just as a reminder, to visit the assignment page and look through these videos that I've found, and there are many others, so you can find other ones and experiment. You can chop and change things up until the point where you have submitted. Okay, so you can play around with the layouts on your particular studio journal. Okay, thanks very much.